Did you know that over 5 million EVs are already buzzing around US roads? With over 5 million EVs already on the road in the US alone, that's a question on a lot of minds. But are EVs destined to cause gridlock, or can they actually be part of the solution? Let's find out. Let's address the main issue first. Are blackouts becoming the new normal? While power outages are certainly a nuisance, a crumbling grid overloaded by EVs isn't the most accurate picture. The reality is, the grid does face its fair share of challenges. Aging infrastructure, extreme weather events, and even pesky squirrels can all lead to disruptions. But according to the Department of Energy, the average American customer experiences just around 2.8 power outages per year, lasting only about 2 hours each. That's not exactly lights out every other day. Here's a deeper dive into the stats. The flickering lights and fridge alarms of a power outage are a pain, no doubt, but aren't these disruptions becoming more frequent due to strained grid infrastructure struggling with EVs? Let's look at the facts. According to a 2021 report by the Energy Information Administration, the average American customer experiences just around 2.8 outages per year. That might not sound great, but here's the silver lining. These outages are relatively brief, lasting only an average of 2.1 hours each. So while a blackout can be a nuisance, widespread grid meltdowns due to EVs aren't supported by most experts. The EIA report also breaks down the most common causes of outages. Weather events like storms, lightning, and high winds account for roughly half of all power interruptions. Equipment failure and accidents come in second at about a quarter of outages. Animals and trees contacting power lines round out the top 3 causes. It's important to note that outages aren't evenly distributed. Some regions, particularly those prone to severe weather events, experience disruptions more frequently than others. So while blackouts can be a pain, a complete grid meltdown due to EVs isn't a well-supported fear. The bigger picture involves ongoing efforts to modernize the grid and make it more resilient in the face of future challenges. The image of millions of EVs sucking up power at once and overloading the grid is a common concern. But here's the key thing. Most EV charging happens at night. This natural lull in electricity demand is like a quiet highway at midnight, perfect for EVs to refuel without causing a traffic jam. Studies by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory back this up. Their research shows that with smart charging practices, the grid can smoothly handle a significant increase in EVs. Smart chargers act like traffic cops, using timers or adjusting charging speeds based on real-time electricity use. This prevents everyone plugging in at the same time, avoiding surges, and keeping the grid running smoothly. Let's look at the numbers. A 2022 report by the American Automobile Association estimates that even with widespread EV adoption, the extra electricity demand would only be around 3%. That's like adding a few more cars to a highway lane, manageable with proper planning. Upgrading the grid's infrastructure, like adding wider lanes, can ensure a smooth flow of electricity even with more EVs on the road. So while EVs do add to the overall load, smart charging and a growing grid capacity can ensure they are key to keeping the grid running smoothly and EVs on the road. Here's where things get a little exciting. Consider your EV not just sucking power from the grid, but acting like a giant battery, pumping power back in when it's needed most. That's the magic of vehicle-to-grid technology. V2G works through special chargers that allow two-way communication between your EV and the grid. During peak hours, when demand for electricity is high, your car can send some of its stored energy back to the grid, helping to stabilize things and even reduce reliance on expensive peaker plants. This isn't just science fiction. Pilot programs around the world are already demonstrating the potential of V2G. A 2021 study by the Dutch Research Institute found that V2G technology could provide enough balancing power to the grid to integrate a significant amount of renewable energy sources like solar and wind. While V2G is still in its early stages, it holds immense promise for the future. With millions of EVs potentially acting as a mobile power bank, the grid could become more resilient, efficient, and reliant on clean energy sources. The conversations about EVs and the grid can't happen without considering the growing importance of renewable energy sources. Solar and wind power are no longer niche concepts. They're becoming mainstream players in the energy game. Here's why renewables are a game changer. The International Revenue Energy Agency reports that solar and wind power capacity has grown significantly in recent years. In 2022 alone, solar PV added a record 262 gigawatts of capacity globally, which is enough to power roughly 128 million homes. Wind energy installations also reached new heights, adding 145 gigawatts of capacity. The cost of solar and wind energy has plummeted in recent years. According to the Lazard Levelized Cost of Energy report, solar and wind are now among the cheapest sources of electricity generation in many parts of the world. This makes them not just environmentally friendly, but also economically attractive. Government institutions like the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection Agency are excellent sources of unbiased data and research on energy topics. They offer reports, statistics, and clear explanations on complex issues related to EVs and the grid. Universities and independent research institutes conduct in-depth studies on energy technologies and their impact on the grid. Look for reputable institutions with a strong track record in energy research. Organizations like the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and the American Automobile Association publish reports and data on EVs, grid integration, and clean energy solutions. They offer valuable insights from industry experts. A common theme amongst analysts is the crucial role of energy storage solutions for a future grid with a high share of renewables. A 2021 report by the International Energy Agency emphasizes the need for batteries and other storage technologies to compensate for the intermittent nature of solar and wind power. EVs with V2G technologies and capabilities can contribute to this storage solution, but additional dedicated grid-scale storage will likely be needed as well. Analysts agree that modernizing the grid infrastructure is essential for a smooth transition to a clean energy future. This includes upgrading aging transmission lines, investing in smart grid technologies, and expanding renewable energy sources. The responsibility for grid modernization falls on a combination of government agencies, utilities, and private companies. Analysts acknowledge that transforming the grid to accommodate EVs and renewables is a long-term project. It requires ongoing research, development, and significant investments. However, most analysts believe that the benefits of a clean and reliable grid outweigh the costs, and that the transition will ultimately lead to a more sustainable and efficient energy system. The grid is constantly evolving, and EVs are part of that equation. There are challenges, but also incredible potential. V2G and renewables offer exciting possibilities for a more resilient and sustainable future. So, are EVs the grid savior? Maybe not the sole hero, but a valuable teammate in the fight for a cleaner, more reliable energy system. What do you think? Are EVs a part of the solution or are a burden on the grid? Leave a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more EV talks.